Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this at a distance of roughly 98 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that they still think console games from big publishers are a pretty neat idea. This planet has, or rather had, a problem, which was this. Most of the people on it weren't playing space games. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of these were largely concerned with the movements of big video game publishers, which is odd, because on the whole, big video game publishers weren't making very good games. And so the problem remained. Lots of the people weren't being space pilots, and most of them were miserable, even the ones with game consoles. This is the story of a game called Star Citizen. Not a console game and not one seen or heard of by any publisher. Nevertheless, a wholly remarkable game. In many of the more relaxed civilizations on the outer eastern rim of the UEE, the Star Citizen has already supplanted the great Wing Commander as the best damn space sim ever. For though it has many modules yet to be released, and contains much that is still in alpha, or is at least wildly incomplete, it scores over the older, more pedestrian work in two important respects. First, it is slightly larger, and secondly, it has the words PC Game inscribed in large, friendly letters on its cover. Welcome to Around the Verse, Episode 42, the talk show at the end of the universe.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 42 of Around the Verse. I'm Sandy Gardner.
I'm Ben Lesnick.
Can you believe it's 42 episodes?
That's crazy. I never thought we would get this far.
I know.
That's kind of the story of Star Citizen, though. We never thought we'd hit $80 million either, and thank you guys for that.
It is. It reminds me of the original 42 to get a golden ticket if you have one.
It's also the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. Take that as you will for how we feel about Star Citizen. It's certainly our lives.
All right, we've launched the Hullapalooza concept sale with 5 different Missed Hull ships available. Check back through the week for more updates on these ships.
Yep, we're going to be focusing on one each day. There's a forum thread where you can ask questions about specific models, and we are taking the interesting ones, and the ones we can answer anyway, and posting them to the com link. There's going to be a little bit of new art throughout the week, and it's a really impressive set of ships. I hope you guys appreciate what this means for Star Citizen. We're kind of building the backbone where you see the world behind it. Yeah, we've seen space fighters battling it out in Arena Commander for months now, and now we're creating the richer world that you inhabit. And part of that is making roles for space truckers and all sorts of transport type things. It's a big part of our game economy, and check out the hulls. They're really interesting. Even if you're not interested in that kind of gameplay role, you're going to be learning about the Star Citizen universe.
And a design post on Cargo is available as well, complete with video demonstrations of how you will be interacting with the environment in Star Citizen.
This is one of my favorite design posts we've done so far. Calix upstairs here in Santa Monica put that together. The new system is called Grabby Hands, which you probably heard him talk about on this show on occasion. Essentially, you have more direct control over objects in the game world than I've seen anybody else do so far. And it's going to make Cargo a lot more real. But check out the post, check out the videos. It's very cool stuff.
Now let's go to the Spectrum for news from Around the Verse.
Hello everybody, welcome back to sunny Santa Monica, California. I'm Travis Day.
I'm Darren Warlick.
And we're here to talk to you about news from around the verse. So first up, one of the things we've been working on here in the LA studio is the shared item, shared vehicle params. It's not a very sexy name, but what it means is currently, as you load into your hangar, if you have, let's just say you had every ship that we have on offer, in order for those to populate your holotable and to populate your Arena Commander menu list, they are actually spawned in the world down below at like 000, so you don't see them in the hangar, but that's what allows the game code to reach and display them and let you interact with them. Now, what this will do is make it so we don't have to spawn them in order to do that, which severely decreases load, or greatly decreases load times. So the implementation of that will be a huge save on video memory and the time to copy from disk into video memory, system memory, or a page file. So we should see great performance improvements from that on load times, which is very exciting.
It's going to mean getting into the game quicker.
Yeah.
The other one we've got is improvements to the wingman system in our game. One of the things we're looking at doing is giving commands such as giving your wingman the ability to taunt enemies off of you, basically give your wingman greater control and greater ability to assist you in game. And this is a high priority from Chris, that we want to make sure that these wingmen have, what else was there? Was a taunt?
Well, it's, attack my target, defend me, go check this area out. So it's kind of all your classic wingman commands, and it also brings a little more life to it, because with this we're going to be recording voiceover dialogue, so you actually give them a little more personality, a little more life, and it's all kind of building towards Squadron 42 and what your wingman's behaviors and personalities will be like there. So it's, again, using Arena Commander as a test bed for this future development.
And speaking of Squadron 42, now that we have cargo in place, or at least something prototyped.
Yeah, so we spent a good amount of time. Calix Renault, you may know from designing Wreck and, well, a lot of other things in the game, putting a lot of ships in the game. I spent a lot of time working on that cargo prototype that you saw in the post last week. And with the announcement, or the reveal, the sale of the whole series, and the cargo design post, one of the things he's doing right now, along with Dan Tracy and a lot of the guys on the design team, is going through and taking all the 3D models that we have, be them concept models, actual game models, and measuring out, using the new SCU system, how much cargo each one of these can accommodate, where they fit in as their role in the universe. So it's overall, I think, a very exciting thing, and you'll see a stats update about this, hopefully by the time this is aired.
Yeah. Try to get some real world values into our cargo spaces.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think the cargo system itself is kind of cool. It's like I've never seen an MMO that supports Skyrim level interactions before, so it's something I was very excited about.
Play some item Tetris.
Exactly. So thanks again for joining us. Santa Monica's signing off.
Hi, I'm David Langoliers. I'm senior producer here at Ohanian.
Chuck Brungart, president of Ohanian. I guess today we're going to probably spend the whole segment talking about breathing real quick for you guys. It's something that we've been, it's definitely been a thing for a long time, like the way breathing's always worked in the design and stuff. There's been a lot of complex systems that all kind of help with breathing. Obviously, there's the breathing manager that you guys know from Arena Commander. So the more G-forces you pull and all that kind of stuff, the heavier you breathe, and it kind of affects gameplay and blacking out and all that stuff. It's a little bit different in using the same system, but different functionality in FPS, and it's something that it's been worked on for a while, but there is so many systems that kind of affect everything, right? Like, the harder you run or the longer you sprint, the more you need to stabilize your breath and the harder it is to shoot. So there's a lot of things that go into gun movement, like breathing, like an up and down kind of, normal feel of I'm breathing heavy, and then also a sway that kind of goes with it. And then stamina, how long is it going to take you to kind of, max out your stamina and then kind of calm down from there. So a lot of what we focused on this last week and kind of this week so far has been really focusing on making sure all those components work well together and really just getting them tunable for designers so that they can quickly balance and iterate. So it's pretty exciting for me because it's always been a part that I really liked about the gameplay. But it just kind of took a little while to get right. Like the systems aren't super complicated, but when they come together, it just needs to all layer and feel right. So there's been a lot of feel, and I think it's been cool because it's great to really see it now kind of come together and everyone be kind of excited about it as a mechanic. So you saw a little bit of it kind of in PAX Australia, I believe, with kind of on the helmet and you know, the way you would move and have to like calm your breath down a little bit more, but it just now like it looks a lot more believable, I think, and it really awesome, just kind of the way the helmet moves and the gun and all that stuff. So I don't know if you have anything to add to breathing. I know I'm
it's just
excited about it.
Yeah, we're all pretty excited about it, and the whole system sort of drives home, you know, Chris's vision and making you feel like you're really in this world, and you know that the different actions you're performing are affecting your body, which then affects the other actions that you're performing on top of that. So it really gives it sort of an immersive feel that he's looking for. But yeah, that's about it for this week. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
All right. Hey guys, Jake Ross here, associate producer on the Persistent Universe, and here with me this week I have.
I'm Evan Manning, the designer on the Persistent Universe.
And this week we wanted to bring Evan on and talk a little bit about what the work he's been doing on the star map. So Evan, you got a little bit of an update there for us?
Sure thing, Jake. Well, as many of you probably know, we had an initial star map that had gotten leaked to the public, and so we decided that we needed to do a rearrangement of many of the systems because a lot of them are supposed to be off the map, and we wanted to encourage the players who want to explore the universe to be able to find unknown jumps and unknown planets and new places to visit. And so this whole process started with a redesign of the map that we had and the 100 star systems that populate our massive universe. And so we started with looking at the strategy with where we want to go with the population of the star systems, taking into account the story of Squadron 42, what we want in terms of the jobs of the persistent universe, delivery routes, danger of pirates, and all sorts of other anomalies like that. And once we had a new sort of two-dimensional layout locked down for the map, we took it into CryEngine and started working on a 3D layout for it. And we've been working on creating a tool that is going to interface well with some things that our web guys are working on. So we're going to be able to easily export the data that we want to be able to see seen and the things that players are supposed to be able to see. So the public star map gets exported with much greater ease than we did in the past. We won't have the full map get leaked again, hopefully.
Nice. Yeah, and I know you guys are working towards a public release of this new kind of revamped star map here pretty soon. I don't know if we can say the exact date or not, but it's coming up. So that's kind of something that we've been kind of spearheading, trying to get that ready for you guys to see.
Yeah, we definitely have some very exciting things coming from the map tech. Some of the visual stuff that I've been seeing coming around is really exciting, and I think you guys are really going to like it.
All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for you this week. Thanks. See you around.
Hey y'all, Michael here from Foundry 42, once again, this time joined by the Overlord, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Andrew Nicholson, the head of QA.
Hello.
And we're here today to talk about that awesome Star Wars trailer that came out.
Oh, Michael. How many times do I have to say this? This is take 5, by the way.
Well, okay.
Just stick to the script.
Okay, so let's talk about QA stuff.
Yeah, QA stuff. So like the biggest news in QA town is the PATU that went live on Monday. So we've been scouring the forums, checking all the feedback that you guys have left, and like we mentioned last time, we've been collecting it, collating it, and we're passing out in a big report. At the start of the week, we were kind of blocked by some quite big issues. The biggest being the Gold Horizon map, the doors were locked shut and they just wouldn't open whenever you walked up to them, which is a bit of hampered us a little bit. But Glenn, our FPS guy, managed to come up with a good exploit to get around the door and continue testing that way.
Well, as we always say, it's like QA, we solve problems by creating more problems. So in a sense, he found 2 bugs in one, and that's just the way we do things over here, you know. He's like, we keep creating problems for the guys upstairs, giving them headaches, you know. But that otherwise the game wouldn't work if we didn't do that kind of thing.
That's the fun of it.
That's the fun of it. We love breaking the game.
So the Astro Arena has been a bit of a challenge for us because the collision around the map was just missing mostly, and you fly out of the world. Meaning that a lot of the time we've been getting to grips with the 0G gameplay and the gunplay, So that's been a challenge, but it's been fun.
It has been. It's been really cool, and also because all this work's been done now, because we're moving ever closer to getting things fixed up, we're that much closer to our cross-studio shoot-'em-up-a-thon, which we're all looking forward to very, very much. We're all looking forward to shooting each other in the face in the game and stuff. So yeah, I think
Yes, in the game, yes.
Yeah, in the game.
Yeah.
Let's just be very clear that in the game only.
Shoot 'em up-a-thon, by the way, is not the unofficial title of Star Marine. And on that note, this is goodbye. Thanks for watching. Keep up the good work on the forums, and that's all from QA. Now, do a barrel roll, Michael.
Woo!
Behind you, look up to your right.
I still don't see you. Oh, there you are. Hey. Oh, ow. So yeah, you can't kill me.
Now let's go over to Dan Tracy and you for a look at the Hull series development.
To Hull with this.
Oh boy.
Well, thank you very much, Sandy and me. I am here with lead technical designer Dan Tracy, and we are talking, what else? The Hull series. Hey, Dan.
Hey, how's it going, bud?
Not too bad. Seen a lot of each other in the last couple of days as
Yeah,
we
totally.
fought with cargo numbers and ship sizes. And
It's a lot of back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Development and work in progress.
I think people would be very surprised to see how much goes into getting the ship out on the website.
Yeah, tell me about it. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, I guess we're going to talk about the development of the Hull series. And I will kick it off because I was actually the person who initially kind of invented them as backstory for a jump point. You know, they were originally just a riff on Larry Niven's general product hulls, when there were like 4 or 5 different sizes of those in his known space world. He was like, oh, we should do that too. So I figured, we'd have like 5 different bulk containers. I think it was A through, it was 4 originally. It was A through D. It's in the MISC article in Jump Point. And then we pitched that to the community. You guys voted for it, and then you came in and made it cool.
Well, it was a group of us anyway when we were all talking about how can we actually set up like an interesting design for a ship that can actually haul cargo in more zero-G oriented environments, right? We came up with actually, and you were even in on that meeting too, when we actually came up with this interesting concept. It's kind of been around with other sci-fi shows to begin with, but is like more the kind of external cargo placement of these things. And of course, like that has its own inherent side effects of like exposing your cargo so that it could be shot, but if you're in safe UE space or you have like a lot of people that are escorting your particular craft, then you shouldn't have a worry about it. So,
well, I hear about that worry all the time, and I figure you're not a very good pirate if you're trying to gun down the cargo.
Exactly. But that's I guess the benefit and the drawback of the Hull series is with each one of them having all of its cargo on the exterior, that means that you can actually have tremendously more cargo than a lot of the other ships. And I see that as like a lot of people have the growing concerns that we have maybe the wrong metrics. And I would have to say for some of them we did, because of the fact that we had the measurements of some of the ships were actually originally weighted for what we called freight units at the time, which was actually in terms of the XYZ dimension, which was 0.25 by 0.25 by 0.25, which actually equated out to, I think it was 1.1. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but that was, 0 point whatever. So those were actually in a very, very small cubic dimension for each one of the particular interior nodes that we're actually developing. And you can see it on actually the Grabby Hands demo that Calyx did, which actually has all of these internal item placement nodes. You can actually think of it very similar to like a lot of other similar game titles that just have a 2D grid that are just cells of like different things that are being placed. Ours is actually going in 3D, right? So each one of those particular node bases are 0.25 meters. So then that way you can put like a gun or a cup or whatever, or even like Mr. Lamp inside of your cargo box, and then he fills his particular dimension inside of that particular crate. Now, for a lot of the ships, 0.25 kind of doesn't make a lot of sense because they're anywhere between, 10 meters to 20 meters to 100 meters in terms of their length or width or height for their particular depth. So to make it easier on us, like we were just measuring out a lot of them with the simple primitives of like the box dimensions of just in 1 meter grids. But also for our metrics for what we wanted to have cover height is 1.25. So you can see with a lot of different numbers bouncing back and forth that sometimes it gets lost in translation when we're actually trying to give it all to either like turbulent or to community or internal between all our design departments, and even with animation, all the numbers might get lost. So we're trying to rectify that right now by actually specifically measuring the internal game dimensions of these things, right? So as long as it's physically accurate, we'll give you guys the actual dimensions that you'll need. And the thing that we want to hit most of all is making sure that we have the hull series as capable as like the Freelancer Max or the Banu Merchantman or even the Caterpillar, right? So every one of those ships has their own kind of equivalent, but of course with the ones that are not the hull series, those are all encased on the internals of it, right? Except for maybe the Starfarer.
Yep.
But
we
with
can't talk about the Starfarer yet.
But with those, we wanted to make sure that the hulls were comparable, and then the hull E being Gargantua, being able to hull the most amount of cargo that you can possibly actually move on with. So like, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
No, I guess it's the sort of thing people find interesting.
As you can tell, I wanted to get that off my chest because I've been seeing that from multiple different angles. So
it's all his fault. No, by the time you folks see this, the corrected Dan here has actually gone through and measured pretty much every ship that we actually have in the game and made some estimates for ones like the merchantmen that are not in the game yet. So we'll have corrected numbers on the website. We're going to show you both the numbers in terms of meters and the numbers in terms of SCU. So you will have all the data.
Cool.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much for coming on and talking hulls.
Thanks very much, Ben.
We will see you the next time we release an incredibly complicated design.
Ciao.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Oh boy. And a whole lot of information. Let's kick it over to James interviewing John Schimmel, who's just back from the Squadron 42 PCAP shoot.
Hey everybody, I'm here with John Schimmel, who is head of linear content. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What does that mean?
I've had a sort of a sliding job description at CIG. I started out actually as a story consultant, then I came in full-time as head of linear content, and I was producing a lot of the video content that's on the site, some of the around the verses and that stuff. But most recently, I'm concentrated entirely on producing the performance capture shoot for Squadron 42.
Yeah, you just got back from the UK, right?
I just got back from the UK Saturday, and I go back Saturday. It's just a quick trip home. I guess you know we're shooting at Ealing, historic Ealing Studios, which hysterically we share with Downton Abbey right now. So we've got we've got a corridor that says Lady Edith Crawley, Squadron 42 makeup. It's pretty funny.
So how's that going? I know you gotta speak a little broad because of the nature of what you're shooting, but in general, how's it going over there? How's Chris feel?
Chris is born to be on set. You know, he loves directing. He's really good at it. So the shoot's going great. You know, we have a unbelievable cast, and from the bottom, most unknown to the most known, they're all deeply gifted, and somehow, we're making our days, and the performances are good, and it all looks pretty great. We're into our second week of shooting, so yeah.
Do you want to go into a little bit what makes it different, like performance capture, as opposed to what you're kind of used to?
I come out of the feature film business. Chris has urged us to shoot this performance capture shoot as though it was a feature film. So whereas in general, in a performance capture, you can shoot one actor and then shoot another actor and then drop them all into the same scene digitally, Chris has wanted the energy of shooting actors all on set together. So to some extent, we're trying to shoot it as though it's a feature film. There's really fundamental and kind of profound differences, one of which is that, especially because most of what we're shooting is first person, so that means that you can't cut between performances. Right, so you've got one giant performance that you go print, and that's what you're using for whoever's in that particular setup. And of course, it's this very funny. There are moments on set when I feel like I'm in a nursery school play yard because, the folks at Imaginarium will build a prop, and it's like a giant piece of PCV. And people are sort of messing with it, and then we have the ability to see the performance live in engine on set, and so the piece of PCV turns into this incredibly beautiful piece of artillery, so it's sort of one step more make believe than most film sets when you actually build a set that looks like the set.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It's almost like a kid with his play set. It's like an imagination. He's like, you're taking a stick and it now becomes a sword. Like,
it totally is,
yeah.
And literally, you're taking a stick and it becomes a sword. You've got some piece of wood and it becomes your Moby glass.
Yeah.
Or it's sort of fascinating, and the actors are. I guess it's what make actors actors, yeah. They totally can get into that.
How's the team doing over there?
The team?
Yeah, your team, or Chris's team, I don't want to...
We're having a very good time. Chris decided, we rented a house, actually, very close to the studio. So Chris and myself and Hannes Appel, the cinematics director, and Dave Haddock, the lead writer, are all living in this house together, which is kind of... slightly MTV-ish.
It sounds like the worst season of The Real World.
It's pretty funny. We mostly are well behaved. It's really convenient because we're literally like a 4-minute walk from set, so we can go home at lunch, and Chris can go catch up on being CEO of the company and then go back to to directing. And we're having a good time. We have it's this strange 4-story house, and the basement, living room is where we've set up the facial scanning equipment. So the living room has like this array of 50 cameras and cast flows in and out getting facial scanned. And so we've turned the garage into our living room. So it's very sort of college garage band kind of.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really awesome.
Since I started here, I know this is what you've kind of been working towards, this shoot. Has it changed any since, obviously, as the scope has changed, it's changed a little bit, but has that impacted how you've kind of looked at it and gone at it?
Yeah. The game has, is in this constantly iterating process of getting better and getting bigger. And I think that we were all somewhat taken aback by how that manifested in terms of the production size.
Yeah.
So we suddenly have, we have this gigantic cast, and our production crew has grown enormously. We started out in a little 2-desk office at Imaginarium, and now we've got this, we've got a couple of spaces could have jammed with people, and we're keeping up, but it was something of a race to get ourselves up to speed with how big the production really is.
Well, that sounds really interesting, and it's personally the part I'm most looking forward to with this game is Squadron 42. And just thank you for coming on. And do you want to give the people a little sneak peek, hype up the game a little bit?
I think that what people are going to find, coming out of this shoot is that Chris's insistence on he's not only insisted on shooting this in a cinematic way, but he's insisted on hanging on to a cinematic story. Mm-hmm. So there's a we like to think anyway, there's a really compelling story that we're telling through this shoot, and at the same time, so we're shooting it like a movie, and we're telling this cinematic story. At the same time, obviously, it's a game with an environment that has to be alive. So we've got all of these really interesting sort of background conversations and characters to be discovered. So I think people are going to be knocked out. I think it's going to be really fun.
Well done. I'm sold. I want to play it now.
Okay, well, I know where you can pre-buy.
All right, Mr. Schimmel, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Back to you guys. And Ben, do you want to do the joke?
Sure. Was that Mark Twain?
What?
John Schimmel looks like Mark Twain.
Nailed it.
Now over to a new segment we've put together by popular request.
Here's Lisa Ohanian with a ship update.
Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Ohanian. I'm a production coordinator and the art outsourcing manager here at Cloud Imperium Games. Welcome to the inaugural episode of my new segment for Around the Verse, Ship Shape. During this segment, I want to talk to you guys about all the ships we currently have in development, just give you an overview snapshot of all the ships that we have in the pipeline, and ideally highlight something at the end. I plan on possibly bringing in developers to talk about what they've been working on, or like today, showing you highlights of a few images of some things we have in the works. Most of our guys right now are working on the Constellation and the Freelancer, which are looking pretty awesome. But what I want to talk about today is the P-52 Merlin. This ship is being worked on right now by Paul Forgy and Dan Kamensky, two of our artists, and a special thanks to Mark Toscano for putting such hard work into getting the images that I have to show you guys today. Right now for the Merlin, now this is a ship that we've sold before alongside the Constellation, but what we're doing right now is we're finishing up making some updates on this ship to make it look much cooler as our technology and our pipelines have improved. We've found a lot of ways to, again, make our ships just all around better. One of the things we're really going to be focusing on for this ship is adding the damage conversions, so that when you damage this ship, there's a bunch of pieces flying out. It looks much more realistic, much cooler. So that's an overview of a few things that our guys are working on this week. Next week, stay tuned, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the Constellation.
Thanks, Lisa. I know everybody wants to hear about ships. Wait, what? That's it for this week?
That's it for this week.
That's it for this week, but there's more to come for Star Citizen.
The team is hard at work on Star Citizen Alpha 1.1.2, which is our next major release. In fact, it's available on the PTU now if you'd like to download it and help us figure out some of the bugs. We're not expecting to have the final available this week, but next week is a distinct possibility. This patch adds a tutorial mode to Arena Commander, which teaches you how to fly. I know a lot of folks out there don't know how to fly and don't want to admit it, myself one of them. And it also sets the stage for Star Marine, which we're doing a lot of back-end work, which you will be hearing about next week as well.
And check in tomorrow for the monthly report.
Always a favorite, and we can't leave you guys without an art sneak peek.
Woohoo!
Space toilet, space toilet, space toilet. And
Yay! Well, I enjoyed that. Sorry. Thank you to subscribers for making this show possible. We will see you next week on Around the Verse.
I don't know how you do that. I couldn't do that.